go to collab.research.google.com, click on the new notebook option, and title this one Introducing Strings. So programming is not all about numbers. A lot of programming definitely involves human language. And to interact with human language, we need a new Python type called strings. So you've seen strings before inside of the print function. They were inside of single or double quotes, and that is what actually defines a string. So let's choose a name, okay? We're going to assign a string to the variable name. What's going to make it a string is if you put the name inside of quotation marks. So choose your own name. I will choose Josephine for my name. Let's also go with a sentence, okay? You can certainly have more than one word. So in the Bay Area, today is rainy. Keep it relatively short for now. And you could also have a password. And so, here's some made up password. Maybe it starts with some special characters. Got to put it inside of quotes. I'll use double quotes this time. And, you could have numbers. You could have letters, uppercase and lowercase. And finally, we're going to do a number. Now, for a number, you can actually make it a string. It's just got to be in quotes. Okay, so there's a number. So now press Shift-Enter to go ahead and store your strings as variables. And what we're going to do first is look at the type string. Okay, so how can we find out that these are in fact strings? Well, we can use the global keyword type in Python. And, we can put in any of our variables like name. If I press Shift-Enter, you can see that it is in fact a string. Now, it's a little more interesting to check the number here because we've seen numbers as like integers and floats, but if we press Shift-Enter, we did verify that in this case, the number is a string. And you may wonder, when might a number be stored as a string? Well, every time you interact with the user and they type numbers on the keyboard, it is actually stored as a string. Okay, so what can you do with strings? Well, if we choose one of the strings, I'll choose the name, okay? And I press the dot, okay? What you see are special options. These are called methods that work for strings. These are basically exclusive to the Python library. And you could think of them as functions. Okay, they're functions designed to act on strings. Okay, so one of my favorite ones I can tell you is lower. Okay, so you see the lower one. And then because it's a function, you actually want to use the parentheses. Now, the way a method works here is you're using this function lower on the string name. Okay, so this is a different kind of a syntax. This is called dot notation. And it's something that you'll eventually get used to as we'll be using a lot of it. Okay, so when we do that, press Shift-Enter, you can see it converts Josephine to all lowercase letters. Now, if I want to display my string, okay, I could just put the word name in, which is permissible in Colab, and you can see it actually hasn't been changed. It remains uppercase Josephine. Now, let me also show you if you want to display using the print function, the variable name, okay? It looks a little different. It shows you the way the output would look for a user, just the word Josephine, whereas when you're putting the variable in, it's showing you what's been assigned to the variable, the string Josephine in quotation marks. Now, the methods usually do not save, but if you wanted to save it as lowercase, you can simply redefine it as name equals name.lower, and I can now verify this by printing out or simply putting in the name variable, and you can see now it has been changed. Okay, so let's go over some other methods. So again, you put in the variable, any of the variables is fine, any string, you put in the dot, and you can see a lot of the options. It was already capitalized, but now if I choose capitalize, right, you need the parentheses there. Think of it like a function. It's capitalized. What else could you do? Well, just like there's a lower, I can tell you there's an upper. And so if you go ahead and try the upper one, and think about what might it do. Okay, look at what lower did. Look at what capitalized did. Now, what do you think upper is going to do? And then go ahead and run it to see if it meets your expectations. There we have Josephine. Lower is the main one that I use, and the reason why is because if you're checking what a user may have typed in. Well, you don't know if they chose the color red with a capital R or a lowercase, so it can be nice to put it in lowercase first. But there are definitely some other useful ones. You can scroll down and get a look at this. I think replace is kind of interesting. So, like what might I replace? Well, I could replace how about the PH with an F, okay? And now if I press Shift Enter, you can see it says Josephine, and that's another pronunciation that somebody could use just to take this one step further. I could also replace I was going to try to replace the last E with well, I can do it anyways. Let's replace the E with the A. I wanted to get Josefina up here. And if I press Shift Enter, you can say it does it in its own way, Josefina. And if I check name as is, because these have not been saved, you can see it still shows the most recently saved Josephine. So there's an introduction to the type string along with their various methods that you can use.